Good morning, heart-led leaders, teachers, coaches, therapists, and especially empaths and healers today. I'm really called to share with you my story, and not just my story, but the story of a woman who has really transformed my life over the last 2 years. It's an amazing story. It's the story of myself, but also a woman named Stacy. And if you've been to my website or if you've read any of my testimonials, you may see that her husband wrote a testimonial for her. I saw Stacy just yesterday on Sunday, as I have seen her almost every week, sometimes more, for the last 2 years. And she's actually said she wants to do a little interview with me next Sunday, which I'm really excited to get to let her share her voice and who she is. I started working with Stacy right in February of, no, it was March of 2020. So like right when all the, stuff hit the fan in 2020. And she had just had a stroke, a fairly severe stroke that affected the whole left side of her brain, which means it affected the right side of her body. So she had that in February, and then I started working with her literally a month later in March. One of my somatic yoga students had recommended me as a yoga teacher who could work with her one-on-one. So this was a really amazing opportunity for me to work with someone who was challenged in a very specific way. But I was very confident that Hannah Somatic Education could help her, and that I had what it took to be patient and loving and kind with her, no matter what was going on. So I stepped into that role with her, and I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. She was in a wheelchair when I started working with her, and had lost almost all connection to the right side of her body, her hand and her leg. And over the course of the time that we've spent together over the last 2 years, I have seen her make such huge, massive improvements in every area. And of course, I'm not the only person who's been helping her. She's resourced. She has a loving family who has been so incredibly supportive of her. So I'm part of a team, really, of people that are helping her in her recovery. But at the same time, the changes and the things that I've seen her connect through our sessions together have been so specific and so particularly special. Even just over the course of a 90-minute session with me, I have seen her make connections, have no feeling somewhere, and then suddenly have feeling. And this is really what the work that we do in Hannah Somatic Education provides for everyone, not just someone who has had a stroke or some kind of trauma, but really for all of us. So much of the pain and discomfort in our bodies is due to a disconnection between a higher level of our brain, our motor cortex, and the musculature that is tight and contracted, or in Stacy's case, just completely disconnected. So this had a huge impact on me, because up until this point I had been teaching group classes, I had been working one-on-one with people, but not quite at this level. Not quite at this level. How it usually looked was someone would hear about somatics, or I would tell them about it, or a friend would, want to do a series of sessions, and we would do a series of sessions, like maybe 4 to 6 sessions, right? And they would get a lot of benefit, a lot. They'd have pain that had been in their body for a long time just disappear, or things would really shift and change, right? And then I'd give them some videos to do, or some things to practice on their own, and 99.9% of the time, the the student or the client would not really do that. And I got that. I understood because it was hard for me in the beginning to commit to a daily practice. But that's usually how it went. Someone would do 4 or 5 sessions and then they would get benefit and then they just wouldn't do it anymore. And they would like it. They'd tell their friends about it. They would, maybe come to some classes sometimes. But that was had been my experience of how this work was communicated through me up until this point. So when I started working one-on-one with Stacy, and for a while we were seeing each other twice a week, and then we went to once a week when she was starting to really get, better and better, I began to see what I had already known in my own body, which is that this work is supposed to be long form. It really is, because it is building a connection, literally neural connections to your body that have not been used, that have not been created often sometimes. And when you do this daily, when you do this regularly for a sustained long period of time, you continue to build and build and build neural connections to your musculature. And what this means is that you truly are learning a new way of existing in your body. And it's incredible. And so working with her, I got to see that really up close and personal over the last 2 years. And it created in me this recognition of what this work is really capable of. I had already experienced that in myself. I had already eliminated and, completely altered my body through this practice. That was already clear to me. But to see it so clearly in this woman who, had a stroke, who had completely disconnected from her body, and then to watch her return to it is in this practice just blew me away, and it continues to blow me away. She's such an amazing woman on so many levels. But what I also realized, and this is the part here that is for the healers, for the empaths out there, because I'm one of you. I am an empathic healer. I didn't know that for the first part of my life, and it caused all kinds of trouble for me and maybe other people too. But stepping into this role has been part of my personal transformation over the last couple of years, because yes, what helped her, this woman Stacy, was Hana-somatic education, the specific way that you're invited to move and the specific neural connections that you're invited to make in this practice. But bigger than that, what kept coming to me very clearly through her was that it was me. It was my loving attention. It was my complete patience and appreciation for her process that was part of the transformative experience that she was having. My ability to be present for her and to let her go through whatever she was going through, and to stand by and lovingly hold her in a space of hope, in a space of promise that it was going to change, that it wasn't going to stay this way. It was going to move, whatever it was, the feeling, the issue in her body, the challenge in her life. It wasn't forever. It was for that moment. And I learned to be so beautifully empty and available to hold her in that. And I mean, it continues to be part of what I bring to my sessions. And the truth is that I found out that I work best, just like this method, I work best long form. You don't get all of what I have to offer in just a couple of sessions with me. You get what I really have to offer through a longer commitment to this practice, because when you make a deeper commitment to me and this practice, I make a much deeper commitment to you. The level of devotion that my heart is able to hold is really allowed to expand beyond, a couple of sessions, beyond a couple of days. The level of devotion that I hold for humankind, for people, is able to blossom in a space of commitment. And so this is really why I've created the program I've created, not just because I see that when people like Stacy or other people that I've worked with do this practice long form, do this work long term as a lifestyle, that the shifts are so much deeper and more powerful and long lasting, but also because I know that as a healer, I work better in, well, I work deeper, maybe not better, but I work deeper in the capacity to hold you in my love when I am with you more, when I am committed to you. So all of this points to working with people. First it was just one-on-one, but now I've been doing that. Now it's a group, working with people in a group for a sustained period of time, so that that foundation of healing that comes from in them, that comes from in me, that comes from this practice, can be fully allowed to blossom. So this has been really, really a profound 2 years for me. And I am one of those crazy people who, lost weight and got into the best shape of my life during COVID. And it's not to say that to brag. It's not to say that like to put anybody else down. But I am one of those funny people who did that. And if you're someone who instead gained a lot of weight, or, had more anxiety and stress and tension in your life as a result of the pandemic, which I think is more common because, man, it was awful for a while, right? I mean, maybe still a little bit awful in all other ways, which we won't get into right now. But I'm here to say that I'm here to help. I'm here to be there for you in your process, through the modalities that I am versed in, through the healing practices that I know. So for the healers, the empaths out there, the moment you really step into that responsibility and what it means to allow yourself to be empty and drain out every beautiful, powerful, emotional energy that you take in, you will find that emptiness that is filled by collective energy, that is filled by the energy of other people. As an empath, you take everything in, right? And that emptiness, that space, is actually your greatest gift, to allow all of that energy to drain out, because then it makes it possible for you to hold space. You hear this all the time, holding space. What does that really mean? It means to have space within yourself that holds the feelings, the emotions, the strife of not just the other, but of the world. And that space only exists when you acknowledge its existence in yourself, and you regularly make it empty again. You drain it out. And it's a process. It took me a long time to figure out how to do this. And I could go into that further in terms of what somatics has developed in me, in terms of understanding the boundaries of not only my body but my spirit, so that I can feel when I'm in connection, and I can also feel when I'm in disconnection, or when I'm emptied out. So yes, this has been a big share for me today, about working with this woman who had a stroke, and I magically, amazingly got to be there and step in with her, and she's just completely transformed my life, and I'm sure I've transformed hers too, 100%. So she'll be doing a little interview with me next Sunday, which I'm really excited to, as I said at the beginning, share her voice, let her share her voice, and just let you see the beauty of this work through her. So all of that coming right out of my heart. And I really hope you have a day, a Monday, Moon Day. I've talked about this before. It's actually not the get up and go day that we want it to be. Monday is Moon Day, and it's a reflective day. It's a day of processing before we go into Tuesday, which astrologically is Mars, which is the action day. So remind yourself of that as you might be struggling to make the Monday, right? And yeah, we'll reconnect again soon.